Okay, this is day 2 of our humanities lesson. So today we are going to go over the basic elements and principles of art. A lot of these words you're going to remember from like elementary school art, but these are all the things that you need to know in order to be able to talk about visual art. So first, an element is a fundamental and essential component of a product. So what does that mean? Here are some examples after this. Principle. So you have elements and principles. So the element is the fundamental part. The principle is a rule of method for using those elements. So an element could be a line, and then you use it in a pattern. That's the principle. The subject of a piece of art is the focus of the art. So for instance, in this painting, the subject would be this couple right here on the couch. They're the focus of what's happening. The medium, or media, if you have more than one, is the material used to make this piece. So this is a painting on canvas. This is going to be probably acrylic paint on canvas. A medium could be oil paint on wood. It could be clay. It could be concrete. Whatever you're using to make your art. The context is the influence of time, place, and ideas on a work. So for instance, we know that this was probably painted in like the 1940s maybe. We've got a record player. We can tell by the decor. This is not from like 1612, okay? Line. So here's our first element. This is a path a point makes through space. So we have lines, all different kinds of lines. Diagonal lines, straight lines, horizontal lines, squiggly lines. Anytime you go from one point to another, it's a line. So thick, thin, wavy, broken, curved, jagged, all different types of lines. A shape is two-dimensional. Okay, that's really important. Two-dimensional, meaning it is flat, it is enclosed with a line. So here we have geometric shapes like a circle, two-dimensional, right? A square, two-dimensional. Your shapes can either be geometric or organic. So geometric means that you probably know a name for it, like triangle, polygon, circle, square, whatever. Organic is where there is no like symmetry or no fluidity to that. So a form is a shape that has become three-dimensional to show depth. So here the couch, we can see it goes back because it is now a form. It is three-dimensional. So here something has been painted. This is not a real chunk out of concrete. This is just paint on the cement to give it the appearance of having 3 dimensions. Texture, the way something feels or looks like it feels. So a lot of time in art, you can't touch it, but you still have an idea of what the texture is based on what it looks like. So that couch, looking at it, it looks like it could be velvet, so it's gonna be really soft, whereas the wall is probably really rough. So tactile is when you can touch it and tell, and then visual is what it looks like it feels like. Space, so the area inside, around, or under. So you have things in overlapping space, like we have here. You have the positive space and the negative space in the background. So the stuff is the positive space. The background is the negative space. Value, darkness or lightness of an area. Okay, so we can see here the value changes because the light changes. Okay, we'll talk about tint and shade here in a second. So color, we're going to do a whole lesson on color tomorrow. So color is all derived from reflected light. Okay, so you can see that the browns on the wall change based on the shadows and the lights. So all you know, the color wheel, all of our colors. So our primary colors are colors that cannot be made by mixing other colors. So they are red, yellow, and blue. Our secondary colors are when you mix 2 primary colors together, like blue and yellow, you get green. Or if you mix blue and red, you get purple. Those are secondary colors. 1 primary plus 1 primary equals a secondary. Then we have a tertiary color, which is when you mix a secondary color and a primary color, 2 and 1, and then you get hyphen colors like red, orange, blue, green. Complementary colors are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So like red, green, yellow, purple, blue, orange. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And then a hue. So a hue is a specific name for any of these colors on the spectrum. So like say it's not a equal mixture of purple and blue, but it's a little more pink, so then we would call it magenta. Intensity is the brightness or dullness of a color. So how much light is added to that color. Monochrome, mono means one, chrome means color, so it is a single color palette. Polychrome, poly means multiple, so that is multiple colors. A tint, so this is a color to which you add white to make it lighter. So here we start with pure red, and then each of these are lighter tints of red. So I know that that seems contradictory because when we think of tint, we think of window tint where it gets darker, but that is actually a shade. So tint is when you add white. So pink is a tint of red. Shade is a color to which we add black. So here's pure white, and then we shade it by gradually adding more black. So maroon is a shade of red because it is a darker form of red. All right, so now we're moving into our principles. So these are ways you use those elements. Rhythm is the use of an element to create a visual effect or flow. So anytime you see movement, that is rhythm. Okay, so here, this is a painting by Van Gogh. He has used these thick lines to create movement through the painting. Balance, exactly what it sounds like. So this is symmetrical, same on both sides. Asymmetrical, different on both sides. And then radial, balanced around a circle. Okay, variety. So this is the use of several different elements. So if you're looking at a painting, here we see colors, line, balance, all of those are used together to create variety. Contrast. So this is where you arrange opposing elements in a piece. So you can have light versus dark, opposite colors, rough versus smooth, opposite textures, yin versus yang, anything to create that contrast. Emphasis is when you use one element and make it dominant over another. Okay, so here the wave is the dominant piece. So we are using that line and color to be dominant. Pattern, repetition, right? Everybody knows pattern. So here we have the shape and lines of these flowers repeated in a pattern. Okay, so on your own, there's going to be a discussion question. I want you to look at this drawing and see if you can identify any of the elements and principles that are used in it. There is no right or wrong answer. This is just your opinion when you look at it. What elements and principles do you see?